Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Learn From Us podcast.
You know, I still have a hard time urinating in public restrooms, like at stadiums.
That's the lead for this episode. There's your title, Tim.
Well, he said stage fright, and I'm just being honest. Like, when I go to a public arena, I'm like, okay, yeah, there's a stall available. I go in the stall.
I have a friend who cannot go number 2 in public.
It's a hard thing to do, go number 2.
He'll go to the airport.
Yeah?
And if he can't go before the airport, he has not gotten on planes for trips because he hasn't gone to the bathroom.
So you mean he hasn't gone to the bathroom, so he goes, I'm skipping this flight?
No. Yes. He's waiting to get on the plane, and it hits him he has to go, and he goes home.
I'm assuming you're not going to tell me who it is.
That's commitment, right?
Have you ever done a bad number 2 on an airplane?
I have not, no.
I haven't either. I imagine that'd be pretty bad.
I really hate when I'm gassy, and especially if I'm like.
I just let it go on the airplane because I just blame it on somebody else.
So Beth does too.
Come on.
So Beth is one of those people. She'll just let it fly, and I'm sure every person in the world is probably looking at that fat hairy guy next to her, thinking like that's the asshole that's letting him fly, and she's just like this quaint little like eating her little popcorn and like little.
Oh, it tastes so good.
Yeah, so I didn't know you knew. Well, I know who to look for on the trip to Mexico when Paul lights up the 727. Welcome to Learn From Us podcast. You get intriguing stories about poopy and
travel arrangements and how you poop and travel.
This is Seth. This is Paul. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
In purple.
Is this fuchsia?
I would say it's sort of a pinkish hue. I got some information a few podcasts ago. We had some information on Longaberger.
Oh, that's right.
We did a whole podcast. I couldn't figure out why Longaberger was worth $1 billion 15 years ago, and then it went down to nothing. And I talked to a marketing guy in Columbus and brought it up. He mentioned Longaberger, and I said, oh, my God. And he said that I wanted to get your thoughts on this. He said that the owner died, and it all went downhill from there. He had a huge following. He was the main attraction.
And that's what the fuck I call a chain reaction.
Wow. Is that like a song or
that's
something?
Is that DMX?
What? I told you this before, and you said that was really bad.
Yes.
When a company is defined by... tell me your thoughts on that.
Okay, so I'm glad we were talking about this because this is a real big issue for me. You've seen how I run Crossroads, right? I'm very big on being useless at Crossroads.
Yes.
I would brag about that.
I tell people you run 15, maybe 16 buildings coming up on we should talk about that at some point. But 16, not buildings, but 16 businesses. And he kind of walks around like drinking pop-up stairs, like sometimes like a confused old man.
I really do. I go from room to room going, what are you working on? What are you working on? And that was my goal. My goal, I remember saying to Andrew 5-6 years ago, I'd love to walk around a building that we own where everybody in every office is doing something different to make our business better. And that's what I do now, like probably 5 hours of the week.
Now, I told you, otherwise I've experienced in some of my past jobs experiences that CEOs are way too hands-on.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And hands-on and nitpicky, and they can't trust their workers, and so they have to be involved in absolutely everything.
Okay, let me tell you what I think.
Go on.
If you have to have your hands in everything, you haven't put the right systems in place, and you don't trust people. Am I saying it's easy to trust people? Not at all. But what I'm saying is it's on you, the CEO, to put the right systems in place to allow people to go do the job you want to do. So everything can be systematized, right? Everything can be put into a system.
Mm-hmm.
Everything can be taught. There's a cheesy cliche thing on LinkedIn, which I really hate, but it's true. It's like, can we afford to train these people to do what we want them to do, have them leave? And the answer is no, we can't afford not to. If you have a good company where everybody buys into it, you are going to lose people, but you need to be able to grow. And how do you grow? By having other people do things for you. When I hear CEOs brag about how they're the most important person in their company, my comment back is, you don't have a company then. How do you sell that? If your company relies on you, your business has a life and it's going to be over the second you die. Usually it's an ego thing. Oh, I'm so important to my business that if something happened to me tomorrow, the business would go under. I'm like, to me, that's a very terrible thing.
What is your title at Crossroads Group?
Well, theoretically, it's CEO or whatever.
You never say it.
Yeah, it's funny because I was recently criticized by my brother for saying, I say it in jest sometimes. But I never say because I don't believe in titles. The bottom line is me, Mikey, and Andrew kind of act as co-CEOs in a way. We're all responsible for our own areas. Now, I'm definitely the one that drives quote unquote innovation or new areas or high level thinking. Andrew and Mikey are much more of so it kind of goes, I'm very high level. Mikey's kind of in between and Andrew's on the ground really getting things done and handled. And like whenever I want something handled, I go to Andrew and say, hey, listen, you get this thing done. And I like it that way. I like the fact that now the only trips I worry about now are trips in which it's actually for a vacation or sightseeing. Like we're going to England in August. I'm worried about that trip because that's going to be all week doing sightseeing. It's going to be hard for me. But usually when I go to Mexico or someplace like that, I'm sitting there. I can do whatever I want to do because I'm sitting there with the computer. I just don't get these guys who brag about how they're the most important thing to their business. I'm like, name me a major company who relies on one person. That's a good thing. Like Warren Buffett has become Berkshire Hathaway and vice versa, right? So when Warren Buffett dies, there's going to be a hit to Berkshire Hathaway, but he's doing the right thing of putting the right people in place to be able to keep growing and keep his mantra and his and Charlie Munger's ideas investments going. So I don't know. It's a really big pet peeve of mine because if you put the right processes and the right people in place and the right systems, and trust me, that's really, really hard to do. It took me years to find the right real estate, but guess what? With real estate, I never worry about our real estate. I shouldn't say that. The bottom line is I know that our real estate will be better 5 years from now than it is today. I know that. Our real estate will be better 3 years from now than it is today. Our real estate's likely to be better a year from now. And if it's not, it's probably something that we did wrong that we're going to fix or something that we want to change anyhow that might take us temporarily backwards. Okay. But these businesses in which people, one of our most successful businesses, our startups, was Fit Active Sports. And the thing I kept yelling at Rockmont about last year is, you're too much of everything in the business. If you died tomorrow, I don't have a business anymore.
FitActiveSports.com.
And now he's done a great job of outsourcing almost everything he does. Except
already, because I know he's going through this transition just here in January.
Well, it started before then, though.
Okay, keep going.
It started probably in October, November. I was like, listen, no more. You got to start figuring out how you get yourself to the next level. So anyhow, I'm a very big critic of people who try to brag about being the most important person in their company because I'm like, well, they don't have a business. It's funny. My dad has a medical practice, and somebody came to him recently and said, we want to buy you. And they were talking, and they did a tour, and they finally came back and said, Dr. Gabrail, we can't buy your business because your business is you. Something happened to you tomorrow, what would happen? What would we do? And to me, it's more of the medical field anyhow. But my dad's proud of that, which I'm glad he is because he's a doctor and people go to him for treatment. But at the same token, and I don't really look at a medical business as medical practice, something to sell anyhow. But he also realizes he can't, because they're like, listen, you're 67, 66. The second you're gone, what do we have? It would take a long time to replace him. You know what I mean? So
speaking of replacing somebody in charge, Trump came out this week.
Yes, our buddy.
And talked about somehow like someone got a hold of his past taxes.
I'm not endorsing Trump or criticizing. I'm just being very in the middle when I give my comments on this, just to preface it.
Explain to me what the hell's going on and why it's interesting. Okay,
I'm going off of literally headlines I saw today. So if my numbers are exactly off, I apologize. And from 1984 to 1994, 95, he lost something like $1.2 billion, and he only paid taxes in 2 of the 10 years. So 1984 to 1993 or something like that. He only paid taxes in 2 of the 10 years. Everybody's criticizing him. Oh, he's such a terrible business person. And of course, he goes to the other extreme and says, no, it's being smart. We show losses, which is also equally as dumb as saying. So in real estate, you get this thing called depreciation. Let's say you buy a piece of real estate for $1 million. Theoretically, the government lets you write off the value of the building over 40 years. And it's not 40 years. But the bottom line, let's say it's 40 years. That means every year you can take a $25,000 write-off without costing you any money.
We do the same with camera gear. So we'll buy a huge camera and depreciate it over the next 5 years.
Right, but how long does that camera actually last you?
Well, 5 years. I mean, maybe. Well, that's funny. I don't know.
So in real estate is going to go up in value. It's going to actually be worth more probably down the road if you operate it properly. So it's a real complete tax gain for you because the real estate can go up in value, yet the IRS is going to let you keep on dwindling the value down in the books. The first 3 or 4 years I was in business, I didn't show income because of depreciation. I had like $800,000. It was a huge number of depreciation every year. My income was way less than that. So every year I got a big tax write-off. I got a big check back. That's all Trump was doing. Now Trump's making the stupid comment back of, oh, that's smart. But no, it's just what's allowed. Just like Warren Buffett takes all the tax advantages he gets. Just like Bernie Sanders doesn't pay more than he has to. Just like everybody in the world takes advantage of every single tax code they can.
Well, it sounds so schemy when someone says...
Of course it does. And that's the good thing that...
Fix that mic a bit.
God damn it.
Sorry, it's a new mic. Here you go. Try that. Like I remember someone saying like a couple years ago, like, oh, Apple made $94 billion and they paid a total of 4% on their earnings while normal folk like me have to pay, 31.
Yep.
How is that fair?
Are we getting back to this conversation? The bottom line is, if you have a problem with it, call your congressperson, complain to them, and see what happens. At the end of the day, it's a tax benefit that makes real estate investment a little bit better for us. It allows us to go do more real estate deals, go turn them over more, sell them, go put the money into another deal, and make areas better. If you just look at it as rich guy doesn't pay taxes, hey, listen, go buy your own real estate. You can do it. You can do it on a $100,000 piece of real estate. You'll get the same benefits. If your income's $30,000 a year, and you buy a $50,000 piece of real estate, you'll still get a write-off. These are available to everybody who owns real estate. It's not just Donald Trump. It's everybody who owns real estate. Now, Donald Trump, of course, had really shitty real estate. That's why he almost went broke in the 80s and 90s. And that's why he shows a lot of losses also, because his properties probably didn't make any money anyhow. And on top of that, he had depreciation. I wouldn't be bragging about that if I were him. However, I always tell people, I once had somebody in town tell me, oh, my real estate, I try to show a loss. I'm like, well, why? Well, I don't want to pay taxes. So I was like, so you'd rather not pay taxes than make so much money that you had to pay taxes. Think about that. He wanted to, by the way, his reason for saying it all was he just didn't know how to operate real estate and was losing money. So he spun it as, oh, I use it for a tax write-off. Well, no, I still try to make as much money as possible in my real estate. This year and last year, we paid taxes on our real estate income because it was so good. Even with all the depreciation, all the losses that the IRS lets us take, we still made more money than we had to go pay taxes. I wrote that check, it was 3 weeks ago? It's just the criticizing Trump for it and then Trump defending it is, both sides of people being stupid. It's just like, okay.
What do the Democrats think is going to happen when, why do they want his tax return so bad? What's possibly going to happen?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, listen, the other thing is I agree with him when he says my tax returns are complicated as hell. Like I guarantee his tax returns are constantly being amended. I mean, he's just got to have, I look at my tax returns and I have like a stack this big of papers I sign. Imagine what his are. I mean, his are, and I'm not exaggerating when I say his are probably a yard high or 5 feet high. I mean, he's got to have an astronomical number of tax papers, partnerships, accounts, all these things he's getting all these things from. I mean, it's got to be insane. I don't blame him for being like, listen, it's too complicated. Now I'm sure knowing who Donald Trump is, he probably doesn't want to disclose, how little money he's actually making. I heard a rumor a few years ago that people inside his office were like, yeah, he's not even worth $1 billion.
Still a pretty large number.
Well, not when you inherited $200 million in 1982. I think he and his family inherited $180 million from their father in 1981 or 82. And to grow it to less than $1 billion over a 35-year period when you just put it in the stock market, it'd be worth $5 billion. You know what I mean? Like when somebody did an article about that one recently saying Donald Trump claims to be worth $10 billion, but even if you just took that money back in 1982 and put it in stocks, it'd be like more than $10 billion or so. It was something where it's crazy. Like, dude, don't brag about that because you didn't even beat the stock market. And that's always what I say. Like I always look at the benchmarks and say, what do I need to beat? But either way, Donald Trump, I've never thought of him as a real estate person. I've always thought of him as a marketing person. He has a brand he's selling, more power to him, but he gets a lot of write-offs. Like I always tell my brother, I'd love to have partnerships where we get all the depreciation, that we don't pay taxes. Mm-hmm. But hey, whatever. It is what it is.
You wanted to talk about lean?
Oh, lean.
What is this?
So a few months ago, for all my life, you know me, I'm very big on efficiency.
You're big on a lot of things.
Like what, Seth?
Organization.
That organization and efficiency are very hand in hand, I think. And that's what lean's all about, by the way. It's all
efficiency?
About being organization leading to efficiency.
I think I somewhat confuse efficiency and multitasking.
There's no such thing as multitasking.
Well, that's just it. Like
I used to believe in it, but it's bullshit.
Yeah, I'll try and do two things at once.
You can't. You can't do two things well at once. Tackle one task, get it over and done with, move to the next task. Lean's all about owning your.
Is this some program?
No, it's called like lean manufacturing. It started in the manufacturing, I think, essentially. And I'm new to learning about it. I went and toured a facility recently that did lean, and basically Everything's clean and organized. Everybody's responsible for their own space. Everybody's responsible for taking steps out. This company bragged to me that they had a process that used to take them 27 minutes. They have it down to 5 minutes now. Because they just said, we don't need this step, this step, this step. Make it better. Make it better. And they always made things better. There's always, like if you go look at my desk now, open up a drawer. I won't even be in the room. Tell me what's it, where is this? I'll tell you top right drawer. Where's this one? Bottom right drawer. Where's this one? On top of the desk, left side. Because it's all about making your life so easy and putting all the steps in place. That way you don't waste your time looking and all that stuff. So like today with the camera thing, we have a lot of issues with cameras. What we're going to talk about with your new businesses, guys, when you go to, you need to make sure these steps are in place and everything's done. That way, when you go to a site, you're just setting up, following the steps, putting it in place. Now, somebody will say to me, well, Paul, you don't understand. Everybody says that. I'm not saying you will, but I'm sitting there saying like, I'm trying to do it for myself first before I put Crossroads on it. But I just look at all the time we waste looking for things or trying to find this. I just want to be able to say, our time is too valuable. It's the only thing in the world we can't create more of, right? Mm-hmm. So I've always been big on efficiency because I'd rather spend my time doing other things that I enjoy doing rather than doing the things I don't enjoy doing. So as I got more and more efficient, guess what I had more of? Time, right? And that's all I'm trying to do. Lean's all about owning your area, figuring out better ways to do what you're doing, and taking out useless steps. I don't know how that'd be. So for example, something that's so simple as I now put pens and pencils on my desk in a why? Why do I have to always open the drawer to pull out a pencil, look in there, pull out a pencil or pen and start using it? Now it's just start using it. Yes, it saves 2 seconds. But this guy who wrote this book, his name is Paul Akers. He talks about 2 second lean. It's like 2 second, what's it called? 2 second lean. Find a way to shave 2 seconds off. What you end up finding yourself is you're shaving off hours of your time in a week. That way you can focus your time on doing the things that matter most, which is getting more work done to drive more revenue, getting more work done to save costs, all these things. It's not, and by the way, it's not just about, I went to this company that gave me this tour and I said to them, so what are you doing with all the time you save? Are you letting people go? No, we're just getting more stuff done. We keep our staff the same. They added $1 million a month to their revenue by keeping their staff the same. They over doubled the revenue by keeping the exact same staff. And he goes, you know what, Paul? We still have extra time left. Everybody's responsible for their own areas. It's amazing. It's just a new way of thinking. It's a little hard, but it's got to be owned from top to bottom. So I'm trying to own it first. I do it at my house now. I'm clearing out junk that I don't need. Anything that I haven't needed for a while goes in a separate area for storage that's properly labeled. So if I ever do need it, I can go to it immediately. But all these things I'm doing, I know it sounds lame, but at the same token, imagine all the times you spend looking for stuff.
All the time.
Yeah, we all do. But if we just put a process in place. One of the things I did for myself personally, Seth, you know what it was?
Go on.
My alarm wakes up at 6:30 in the morning. When your alarm wakes you up, how long does it take you to get out of bed?
So I'm the immediate jump up.
Are you?
And Beth is the 6-time snooze hitter.
So I don't snooze, but I sit in bed, do emails, do chess, check Instagram for about 12 or 13 until last week. Now I said, you know what, Paul? Get out of bed within a minute. Take your dogs out, give them their food. Come back to your room, make your bed. I love making my bed. I hate
making my bed.
I love it. And then when you're sitting on the can, that's when you do your chess, your emails, and your Instagram because you're doing that anyhow. You're in the and now all of a sudden I've been ready every morning at like 7:20. Before I was getting ready, I was done at 7:45 or 7:40. Still getting to the office by 8, but you know what I mean. Like I just saved 25 minutes off my time, which is small, but it's big. It's like I did nothing different. I woke up the exact same time, and now I'm ready earlier, which gets me to the office earlier, which gets me answering email. It gets everything done earlier. And I now have very few emails at the end of the day in my unread in my inbox, maybe one.
I don't think there's a way you can argue with this. It's probably a way of life that everyone should go. I do know that oftentimes I think there's people out there like myself that read a self-help book or focus on something that you've learned from some leadership or culture or behavior skill type, where I'm going with this. And then when your spouse is not in line with it, it often can create a little more.
So here's what you do, because this is a very important thing in the book. It says, what about other people? Lean's about you.
Yeah.
So you and your spouse need to sit down and say, Beth, I love you. You're beautiful. What am I in charge of? What are you in charge of? Mm-hmm. Well, Seth, you're in charge of this. Great. I'm going to go make this as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
If she starts seeing that, maybe she'll make hers. And if she doesn't, and all of a sudden her way starts affecting you. Like she starts taking areas from there. Let's say, for example, you're in charge of all the toilet paper being stocked in the bathrooms, hypothetically.
Sure.
All of a sudden, she's stocking toilet paper in random places. You're like, Beth, we agreed. I'm in charge of this. If you want to be in charge of that, take it away from me.
Yeah.
But I am in charge of this. And that's what also good organization is about, is saying, hey, listen, I'm in charge of something, you're in charge of something. Nobody's going to argue with that.
No. I think I've heard like marriage is defined as part of the definition of marriage is us putting up with each other's bullshit for a long amount of time that we're probably not going to change with. So like I have things that I'm probably not going to change. It'll make her mad and vice versa. And you really kind of have to either put up with it or like friction can happen,
Yep. And you have to decide, like, I'm not married, but I'm in a relationship finally. And she and I have talked about things like this. And I think she sees how much it really makes my life easier and how much I really enjoy. Like, people come to my office and they're like, man, your office is so clean now.
See, you enjoy this sort of a militaristic type attack to the day, I
didn't realize Tim was still here.
I've seen some of these guys act in this very, very structured way, and their spouses are not as structured. And it's just interesting to see.
So who's more structured in your family, you or Beth? Or is it the blind leading the blind over there?
I mean, structure, I don't even know how to describe. I don't even know. We all have our things that both of us has our things that we're good at and we're not.
Of course.
And so you either put up with what your spouse is not good at, and hopefully she accepts yours, and you don't want it to boil over to, well, you've been doing this for 6 years. I never told you, And so...
and by the way, the spouse is always harder because it involves emotion. But at work, for example, this new business you have, if something you're doing is disorganized and it's affecting the rest of the business because somebody else can't get it done, that's when it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
One of our guys who works here has a terrible looking desk. And I always tell him, like your desk is, it's disorganized clutter. It's organized clutter. I'm like, there's no such thing as organized clutter. Like I said, if I told him leave the room, tell me what paper is third from here, I have no idea. Well, then it's not organized.
Mm-hmm.
To me, all I'm sitting there saying is, why do you not want to know what's where? Where's the benefit of not knowing?
I mean, there is none.
There is none. So to me, if you
Some people don't want to put in the work to...
Right. I have other things to do. Well, do you ever think maybe you'd have more time if you actually organize this the right way? By the way, my method and your method, all I'm sitting there saying to you is, I'm not saying don't put these papers on the desk. I'm just sitting there saying organize it in a way that if you want to know which ones are receipts and which ones are incoming invoices, which ones are outgoing, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
That's all I'm sitting there. And again, I'm still learning this process. I'm reading my second book now about it, but I'm starting to like, it's a Japanese thing. And you look at the Japanese and you look at them going, how is it possible these guys take everything we invent and just do it better than us, right?
Yeah.
The car, the cassette player. I mean, every single electronic device in the world almost was made better by the Japanese in some fashion. So you look at that saying, is it a coincidence? No, maybe not. Maybe they just, I remember when we owned our buildings in Shaker, so this is years ago, before I even learned about lean. I said, I want our boiler rooms absolutely perfect. I want them to be spotless, painted, everything. And everybody's like, but nobody sees the boiler room. I said, exactly. Because if no one sees the boiler room and our employees do and see how important that is to them, you think they're going to walk past a piece of paper that's laying in the hallway? Of course they still do. And then we fire them or whatever it is. 2, if a bank comes by to give us a loan, they see an absolutely destroyed boiler room. They're going to be like, ugh. If they see a spotless boiler room, they're going to say, man, if this guy takes care of his boiler room that nobody in the world sees, imagine what else he does with the rest of the building. It's the same as somebody coming to our office. If we had trash everywhere, what are they going to think of us? Our office is beautiful, right? And I want everybody to be able to be proud of somebody coming into their workspace and saying, wow, you have a beautiful workspace.
Sure. I
don't want to be embarrassed by showing somebody a workspace. And I'm not picking on people, but I look at some of them, I'm just like, it's not. I want us to be proud of having people buy. I don't want us to be like, and that's the great thing about lean. Lean's very big on bring people by, show them your space. They're going to criticize. They're going to show you things, and you're going to always be proud to brag about it. If we're not proud to brag about our space, we need to do something about it. Drop the mic.
I don't know why the natural tendency is to think like, but I was working with Focus 3 and they had the same sort of mindset where they deliver people like, this is happening in your life and you can either organize yourself, build yourself and be better, or not. And some people, like, just as you say, it's like, who could argue with being more disciplined, more organized? It's really a character. You're probably doing a lot of these steps without anyone seeing it and knowing about it, right?
Well, right now I am, only because I want to own it and make sure I really believe in it before it becomes the cool thing of the month.
Yeah.
Our consultant that we work with, I asked him about it. He goes, the thing I've found is it becomes the cool thing and the it thing for the quarter, and then all of a sudden it falls to the wayside. But that's because people don't own it all the way down. I want to be the person who says, this is how I operate. This is how I operate my person. And I started with my house first. I went to my bedside drawer. I had 10 books stacked on my next to my bed. And I sat there and said, I'm reading 4 of these. Why do I have the other 6? Mm-hmm. I took the 6, put them where my other books are. Done. All the books I'd already read were in a closet. I put them underneath the cabinet and put the closet available for other things. I have my desk drawer now. I was looking at going, how many things in this bedside drawer have I not touched in 5 years? Okay, time to go. I pulled it all out, threw away the things that didn't matter. And some of those were, I'm sure, $10, $15 items. I'm like, Paul, if they matter to you, put them in a container of miscellaneous, whatever they are. If it's phone cords, miscellaneous phone cords. One of them, do you know what I found? My BlackBerry. When was the last time a BlackBerry was used? My BlackBerry was from 2009. What did I do with it? I threw it away. I'm like, listen, Paul, you're just taking up space here. If it really mattered to you, you would have kept it anyhow and done it.
Did you watch just like Tidying Up with Marie Kondo?
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
I've never even heard of this.
You're kidding.
No.
I thought this was going to be the next thing you talked about.
No. Have you heard of this, Tim?
So it's a Japanese gal, very cute, sort of lovely, sort of like laughing and just having a great time.
Hello, Kitty.
And apparently she's like a pro. She travels the world and speaks to her minions about cleaning up the house. So she'll go into a house of a family that's like not even completely trash. We're not talking hoarders, just like normal people.
Okay.
They don't do their dishes on time. They don't empty the dishwasher. They got clothes in piles. They don't wash them on time, and disorganization of CDs and around the TV. And she has a step-by-step, like, number 1, let's start with the clothes. And she forces everyone to get every piece of clothes they have and put in one huge pile. And it lets them see, like, some of the women, of course, just have like,
of course,
like a mountain. And it lets them see. And then they start saying, like, okay, we're either going to keep this or it's kind of weird. They kind of thank the clothing and then like give it away.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for your service. It's all like, she has an interpreter too, so I can't really keep up.
Wait a second. She's actually like, she doesn't speak English.
No. Well, it's yeah, I don't know how they do the show, because when she, listen, you and I are in media now, and it's hilarious because you watch the show. When the Japanese woman is talking, the English-speaking family, they're like nodding along, like they fucking know what they're saying. I'm like, who's editing this? Like she needs an interpreter to listen to what they're saying, but then they edit it so like the American folks are like, oh, they're like nodding along.
That makes sense.
Yes,
yeah, gotcha.
I hear you. So, but anyway, and at the end, the family's all organized. They spend more time together. They're more in love. It's brought them closer together. They get rid of a bunch of crap in their house. And
so the one thing I found, though, I don't like sudden changes. I like gradual changes.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm doing is literally gradually in my house going drawer to drawer. Okay, I'm going to tackle this drawer right here. I'm going to tackle the next one. Sometimes it's twice in a day. Sometimes it's once in a week, whatever it is. But Lean's very big on what causes you discomfort, go change it. And that's the funny part. If people always ask me, what do you do? I'm like, I listen to my stomach. If I feel like anxiousness in my stomach about something, I know that thing is wrong. I'll just go through my head, think about things in the shower. And the second I feel that, bing, I'm like, okay, that's bothering me. And I'm very in tune with that for some reason, probably because I had bed anxiety for years. But when I feel that, I go, okay. So when I think about the closet right before I enter my bedroom, the foyer closet, because my bedroom's out the foyer, that thing drove me nuts. That's where our jerseys are for basketball, right?
Yeah.
Go look at that closet now.
Oh, you fixed it.
Oh, yeah.
Just from last week.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, the TV.
So the TV's still, that's right, you saw it. The TV's still there. Mm-hmm. But all that's in there now is
very clean.
The jerseys and the TV. And I look at that going, that always bothered me. That was always embarrassing for me. I never wanted anybody to see that closet. And things like cleaning supplies. I know the cleaning supplies in my house are disorganized. So Lisa and I this weekend, we went through my pantry and organized the entire pantry. You saw, remember you opened the pantry last night?
Well, usually my bourbon is sitting out
Yep.
in the kitchen and has been for 6 months.
Yes.
And now it's gone. It's mysteriously gone.
And where'd it go? It went in the pantry, which I told you 2 weeks ago. And then I said, you went in the pantry last night and you started looking, I'm like, top right. And you looked right like, oh, there it is. And they were all just right there neatly.
Yeah.
Was it any worse for you?
No, not at all.
Exactly. Now it's just, hey, this is not used very often. It's used once every 2 weeks or once every week. Once every 2 weeks. So I'm going to put it in the pantry in an organized place.
I'd love to see how this works with people. I'd love to learn more about it, especially when you have spouses living with you that aren't on board with the same thing. You know, like I do stuff that makes Beth mad and so you ready for this? This is it. When I commit to something or she commits to something and your spouse isn't on board, the commitment creates more friction in your
But why?
relationship.
Why does it have to?
It does.
Can't you do something that doesn't?
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't. All I know is the stuff that I see. I'm not. She's much nicer.
Can you give me an example?
She's much nicer about not pointing out all the bullshit that I do. I mean, frankly, she says she loves me and all this, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm a freaking asshole to everybody. But like one thing is like she cannot keep track of her car keys very well.
So
They're like either in the car,
Okay.
they're in a purse, they're in a jacket, they're on the steps on the way to and from the car. They're just never hung up on the key hang-up thing. And so the friction,
you have a key hang-up thing.
oh, absolutely.
Oh,
So the friction, we have tile, we've got it all. And the friction comes in when she falls asleep with the boys at 9:30, and now I'm searching the whole house for a set of keys to go lock her car and get her purse out of it because we've had people breaking into cars in our driveway. So it's just she's,
What kind of neighborhood do you live in?
she's dreaming away, falling asleep with one of the little boys, and I'm just like down here steaming because I'm going military lean like Uncle Paul, and my spouse is not. And guess how long it's been doing that for?
A long
15
time.
years. So now what do I do against her? I can't even imagine.
So the
My
conversation.
laundry's all over the damn place.
So how often do you guys enter the house together?
Rarely.
See, the hard part is like I don't know.
You see?
It is hard.
So their options are deal with it, shut your mouth, and know that she's putting up with my bullshit. So I'll put up with something for her.
You know what it takes?
We're
You
in
know what it
love.
takes?
Go on.
It takes her to lose her purse. It takes her to get
It's
her purse
happened.
stolen,
It's all happened.
and she still doesn't care.
Locked out of the car at random places, stolen from the car,
All right,
purses stolen out.
you need to get divorced then. Hey Beth,
see?
I'm recommending Seth divorce you.
This is lean. This is my next book will be
Lean marriage.
for couples. Idiot's Guide to Not Leaning for Couples.
First page, just save money, get divorced right now.
That's the point, man. I know. Listen,
Listen, it's possible.
have her on the podcast, and
I'd
she'll
love
talk
to.
about all the stuff that I do, and she probably just keeps her mouth shut. You know
what? Let me ask you a question.
But for example, so at this point,
Yeah.
I just have to keep my mouth shut and keep
Well,
keep putting up with finding the keys.
Can I ask you a question?
Go on.
Are you willing to change some of the things that drive her nuts if she would change some of those things?
Well, she doesn't point mine out as much.
Okay, but if you had an honest conversation with saying, Bethy, I love you, but what things can I change that would make you not be as annoyed with me?
She probably knows that the next question being because this is what I want you to change. Some people just don't change, man.
I used to believe that.
Come on.
I used to believe that people can change gradually. By the way, lean isn't about making somebody change. It's about somebody seeing the value and how it's going to make their life better. Hey Beth, how many times a week do you look for your keys? How many times?
Almost every in and out.
Okay, and how much time does she spend every single time doing that?
People don't always think like that, man. They just think like this is life. Such is life.
Maybe they haven't thought of it because they haven't been told to think about it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a big believer in there's a better way to do everything. I don't care how. In fact, the person you should run away from is the person who says, "I've been doing this for 20 years. This is how we do it."
Yeah.
Run away.
No doubt.
There's always a better way to do everything.
Yeah.
Always. And that's what I'm trying to get across to everybody in the company. We have to sit there and when we do our real estate now, we're constantly sitting there saying well, we have our process. Why is our process wrong for evaluating real estate? Okay. And we look at things and we go, well, what about that? Let's look, for example, when we buy and rehab properties right now. When I first started doing that, I would sit there and say, I'm not paying more than the property is worth in today's numbers. But now we change it to say, well, wait a second. If the property is going to be worth a lot more in the future, 2 years from now, because of what we do to it, I'm going to pay a premium. As long as I get my returns up, because I look at it going, if I know I can get that premium, then go do it. But before I would have sat there and said, I'm not paying more than what it's worth today on today's numbers, and I want all the cream. Now I'm like, okay, no, wait a second. So you have to change along the ways as long as it doesn't sacrifice your principles. And our principles are, we're still going to buy based on realistic expectations. I still want Beth to sit there and say, Beth, if I look at Beth and say, Beth, is it going to kill you that every single time you walk in the house, if she says, well, the problem is the key hook is over there as opposed to, okay, fine, what if we move it? Well, it'll be much easier. Okay, you can make an effort that every single time you get in the house, the key goes right on there.
Probably not.
You're speaking for Beth. Let her speak. Maybe that annoys her.
Well, it goes into habit breaking, you know? Like we have certain habits.
It takes 21 days to break a habit, they say.
Yeah. Like I when I get out of the car, it's just like, that's absolutely the first thing. It's not the kids. It's not the groceries. It's like keys away. And so, yeah, man, I mean, so like tomorrow night, call me around 9:45. I'll be searching for keys, trying to lock my car out front, sometimes in my underwear. Now, luckily I'm moving out more into the boondocks, so I can do that more, you know, just stroll out of my undies and just lock my car. But yeah, man, it's just got the tile, got the everything.
Remember, Lean's all about you. Focus on what you can control.
I mean, it's admirable. Most company rollouts, they don't start with the CEO. It starts with the CEO presenting it to everyone else and saying, now we're switching. Everybody, you're all going to be better. Let's go. It's starting today. And it's just like that goes over.
Listen,
really
I'm
well.
very worried about this. It's going to be hard to get some people on board with this. But at the same token, if I can show them how it's made my life better, hopefully they see that and go, oh, okay. Like I look at it going jokingly with people. I say, you know, I consider myself extremely efficient. It's more, you know, it's funny. You know what Seth said about us, Tim, when he first came? I expected it to be like people walking around so busy. I'm like, that's not a successful company to me. If you're walking around like, then how are you getting things done? To me, a successful company is one that's organized and is able to get things done without there being a big hoopla for it. How often do I say I'm bored?
Yeah.
Way more than I probably should. But to me, I'm proud of the fact that I'm bored. It means that we have a more efficient process than we did before. And then you know what happens? About 2 months later, I'm not bored anymore. Why? Because I filled my stuff with more things to do.
Check out Lean.
I mean, or don't, but listen to me talk about it because I'm sure I will. Because I like it. It fits. The reason it's ringing with me is it's not something that I just go, oh my God, it's brilliant. I remember it just makes sense for what I believe in. Like when all these years I talk about efficiency and productivity, it's that.
Paul said this would be great for our new company.
It would be. It will be.
Crossroads Creative Media.
And what's your slogan?
We produce badass videos with purpose.
Videos with purpose.
Beth and I partnered with an astounding cinematography team down in Columbus. And they need help with outreach and sales, and we need help with amazing video. And so we've partnered up with people that we wanted to be partners with many, many years ago.
It's a great partnership.
Paul is involved.
I'm a consultant on the deal.
He's the adult in the room. They're going to get us pointed in the right direction. And we're very excited to not have an artist helping us with business, because most of my artist friends need a lot of work with thinking about business. And the more and more I learn about business, it has nothing to do with what you're selling. It's not that tangible item. It's just about the practices and the procedures you have to get that item going in the hands of other people.
So can I make a comment?
Go on.
So today, I'm going to be very candid here.
Go ahead.
We spent a lot of time standing around.
Yeah.
You started the day off by saying what?
Be
at
patient.
11:15, you know what you said? Well,
What?
we've got a lot of stuff done. And what I say? You're right, we have.
Yeah.
And in the next hour and 15 minutes, we got like nothing done.
Yeah.
To me, with Crossroads Creative, one of the things I'm going to say was, imagine I just paid you $50,000 for a commercial.
Yeah.
And then I'm standing there like this, waiting for something to work.
Well, that's how commercials do work.
Well, let's change that. I want us to be known as the people who we're not going to fluff you by spending our time, wasting our time with you to make it look like we're going to get things in and out. We're going to get you done. We're going to bring you in exactly when we need you, and you're going to go when we don't need you anymore.
You are a huge fan of this.
Yeah.
Sitting down at the podcast and going, and then you definitely don't put up with delays.
I don't like unwarranted delays. And when I say unwarranted, you might sit there and say, well, Paul, the thing wasn't working. I'm like, that's unwarranted because the thing should be working, or we should know how to fix it immediately. Now, at one point today, I said, Seth, can we just hold this camera? You're like, or you can give me 10 minutes and fix it, at which point I was about ready to take a chair and drop kick it on you.
Oh, really?
No, I was there saying, like, I was just like, Okay, but if you could, you know what I want to say? But you've been spending 30 minutes fixing it and it's not working yet. So,
Yeah, I thought in my mind my comeback would be if we had another hired hand.
here we go. It's always if we needed something else.
It's true.
Seth, I'm not denying that.
If we had a guy on that machine.
Or if, you know what Lean does? Lean
that?
gives you an 8-step process for everything that needs to be done and says, go do it this way. So what should happen is sometime on your off time or when you're at night, go figure out how to do that again and write down the steps. And that way, the next time it needs to be done, it's attached to the camera, attached to something.
Yeah, I do challenge you on this sometimes because I don't think life is always as clean as you want to make it out to be.
Life can be cleaner, though.
Certainly.
And guess what? I'm sitting there saying, perfection's here. Reality's here.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to touch perfection, but doesn't mean we don't start trying to get as close as possible to it. All I'm sitting there saying is
Sure.
I feel like I'm very good at seeing inefficiency and going, why is it being done like that? Whenever waiting around, like to me, it's like, plus the other thing is Crossroads Creative. Hey, we're going to charge you $50,000 because we're experts. If you're experts, why am I waiting around for things? That's something I always tell people. Like when we talk to these credit card companies, right, Tim? They're like, oh, we're experts. Okay, what about this? Oh, I don't know yet. Well, then how are you an expert?
Yeah.
How can you tell me you don't know? Now, if in the apartment business, somebody came to me and said, Paul, what am I going to make in my apartment building? I can easily say, well, I don't know. What's the numbers? But if they said to me, oh, my apartment rents are this, I'm going to pay this. Okay, it seems like you're probably going to do okay. What's okay? 10 or 12%. Oh, what do I do to make 20%? Probably pay this. Is it exact? No, but it's a general idea. That's what I'm sitting there saying. I know you're sitting there saying, Paul, life isn't as clean as it's going to. Is it possible that's a reaction to the fact that maybe you're fighting that going, I don't want to, it's uncomfortable to be more efficient. It really is uncomfortable, right? I mean, you have to sit there and look at it this way. Imagine if we never brushed our teeth. Imagine we never grew up saying you brush your teeth.
Yeah, people do that.
But how insanely stupid does it sound? Hey, stand there for 2 minutes and brush your teeth twice a day, maybe 3.
Yeah.
But we do it. Why do we do that? Because that's what you do to have healthy teeth that later on you save your time and save your money. That's all I'm saying. You're investing in yourself. You're sitting there saying, let me be uncomfortable. Because the other thing is, people always will find themselves delaying things and so, for 6 months. And so it seems like I have 6 months of tasks to do. It's not. It's one task that they delayed for 6 months. Everybody's notorious for saying, well, it takes 3 weeks to do. No. It takes 1 hour to do. You just waited 2 weeks, 6 days, and 23 hours to start it.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. And that's one of the things that when consulting with you guys, I'm going to sit there and say, it's like, hey, how long is this task? Well, it's a 2-hour task. Great. When are we going to start it? When's it going to be done? That's it. It's a 2-hour task. Get it done. That's it.
It's true.
And the more organized your area is, the more organized your stuff is. So Seth, we talk about like the studio. I want that someday you can say to me blindfold, call me up and say, Paul, walk into the office, open this cabinet, go to the second drawer down, open it up, third aisle on the left. Go. That's your whatever. Thank you, Seth. There it is. Not, hey, where's this? Oh, where'd I put it? Because that's no different than your wife with the keys, right? That's
true.
That's all I'm sitting there saying. I'm not saying to me, and by the way, it sounds like I'm criticizing, but I look at my life and going, oh my God, I'm so disorganized. Oh my God, I'm so inefficient. And that's what I think about myself. And people are like, dude, really? I consider myself unsuccessful at times, going, oh my God, I'm so unsuccessful. It's like, it's stupid. I'm not trying to beat myself up over it. I'm just trying to sit there and say, don't be complacent and patting yourself on the back all the time by saying, oh, I'm so wonderful. It's like, no, you could be great. Or you could be good and just become better. That's all I'm saying. And it's okay to want to be better and more efficient because that allows you more time with your family, more time with your friends, more money to be able to do all those things. That's all I'm sitting there saying.
Yeah.
That's it.
Interesting. Join us on Mondays and Thursdays for the podcast.
That was a long one.
Was it? Wow.
That's what she
43 minutes. Learnfromus.com, videowithpurpose.com.
Oh.
Is our new creative media place. So check it out. Paul's been really into the cars lately. So
I'm playing the guitar.
We're signing off. Thanks. Learnfromus.com. Love you.
'Cause when you're standing oh so near